Welcome to another Petersburg By Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Bloody Strings, one of the many chronicles here on St. Petersburg by Night. I'm Devlin Kane, your humble storyteller this evening, and these are my amazing players. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Kendall the Elemental on TikTok, and I'll be playing Maggie Haywood of Zakata.
Hello, I'm Lakar the Artificer on TikTok, and I am once again playing the well-dressed ne'er-do-well, though not as well, Matthew Halden, Toreador.
Hey, I'm Mew, and I'll be playing Sophie Clues, the Malted Milkshake Malkavian.
Fantastic. So, last we left off, we were recovering from the Gala event where things went a little outside of the range of acceptable progression. As you fled from the neutral zone, made your way back to the morgue, where you had a little slumber party and decided to take a couple days rest. We'll pick up on the third day. Or evening, rather. As you come to Maggie's ghoul tending to you, and as you were rising from the drawers, Ezekiel has been quiet, has not said much of anything over the couple of days that he has been staying in his drawer. I'll give you guys the scene in the morgue.
Maggie will come out of her drawer, kind of start pulling the other two's drawers open, whether they want to come out or not, but this is her house, so she's doing as she pleases. And she's going to just basically go through her own itinerary of what she goes through whenever she's in her own haven. There's usually bodies here, there's usually people that this is also where she works. She's going to check on the brief people, kind of check in on Ezekiel for a moment, because he's basically a house guest. And shut his door again once she is done checking on him. She'll look to the other two. Have you healed?
Well, I feel much better, but unfortunately, this dress is, I suppose I can't really give it back in this condition.
I do believe she said for you to keep it, so
Yes, I'm fairly certain that's what she said.
Perhaps I can turn the fabric into a skirt then. It doesn't really need the top. It was a little small anyway.
Maggie will let out a little laugh and then continue. So, do you want him to stay here? Pointing at the drawer with Ezekiel.
I'll have a talk with him in a little bit. I just need to think of what I really need to ask specifically in terms of this, the details of the boon. In the truck, I said very hastily that I wanted to take control of my accounting, but perhaps he has more knowledge, being more elderly, of maybe something that could have done what happened to Edwin, especially with his connections to Chicago. I just need to write down my thoughts before I converse with him. But thank you again, Maggie, for letting us all stay here. I know this place has been burnt once before, so it's very generous of you to help us.
I assume that this is just something that happens when you gain too much tension. But, hopefully it doesn't happen again. If not, I have other places that I have claimed to occupy.
How is your doctor, by the way? Is he doing well?
Jarvis? She kind of looks over to the door that he just left in. Fairly certain he's well. He made the evacuation well enough. Stayed somewhere, and now he is back.
Good, good. That's good to hear. One less thing to worry about.
Yeah. She kind of looked between the two of them. Are both of you quite alright?
physically, yes. Emotionally, I'll be fine.
I'm sure. And she'll look to Sophie.
I suppose I'll be all right. I am a bit concerned with some of the missing members of our coterie. Those that have been missing a long time and those that are recent. It's not great. Matthew, do we still need to worry about your old connections, or is everything dealt with?
Oh no, we absolutely have to worry because he. I'm going to assume he made it out of there alive. So, I mean, I could have solved that problem, but I didn't.
Well, I don't blame you for not wanting to and dispose of an elderly person. Typically, I don't recommend it, and I even suggested the Count of Monte Cristo because I thought it would set a good example. But when you have someone threatening to bomb an entire nation, that does often change the morality of when you can dispose of such people. I hope you'll just keep that in mind in the future.
Yeah, trust me, the thought of taking him out because of that did cross my mind. But I also didn't know what was causing it, how it was being caused, and if he was directly linked to it going off. So. But then I figured out who was literally pulling the trigger, and yeah, hindsight's 2020.
So this Louis, he's an old friend of yours. Do you know any way that he may continue to act against you?
Well, he's used every single one of my aliases, so I've had to burn every single one of those. But I thought about it. I don't know what he's going to do or how he's going to do it. How about we make him be the center of attention? Now, you said when you were talking, before you decided to check the depth of the wound, that he was dead?
For 5 years.
How would you like me to perform a miracle?
I was under the understanding we were going to be using the current alias that he was using.
Yeah, but that's him, and if he's coming up as already being dead, no matter what we do, he's going to just vanish in the wind. How would you like to help me raise the dead?
Could we also do that with Edwin, or is it different when you're a kindred?
It's different when you fake your death.
Oh, faked. Oh. Sorry, I got a bit confused. I thought perhaps Louis had become kindred and was after you, and that makes more sense why he was able to still bomb the location even though you were in there with him, assumedly alone. But now it makes sense.
Well, I mean, he looked
well-
pretty hit, so he could have been, but if he did, they waited a really long time to do it.
And you're not just doing this because you know you will get caught. You will also get caught in the spotlight because of your death wish.
It's not a death wish. Now that I understand what he's doing and why, it's more of a I'm helping a friend. See, funny story. Apparently, he got it into his head that locking me away was the best choice to saving my life.
It seems that we had more in common with each other than I thought, Matthew.
Oh, you were being pursued by the Nosferatu as well?
Well, no. Although, thinking back, perhaps that's what the Lamp Man was.
All
But I mean,
right.
in hindsight, he did me a favor because if I would have ended up like Benny Boy, I would have.
Your ego would never be able to take it.
No, and whew,
Hmm. How do you want to do this? Because this will require a plan. Or do
Okay.
you want to tell me what you have that we can use? And I can make a plan.
Well, it's funny that you should ask that question here. And he will just kind of motion to the morgue. You got any dead guys who no longer need their fingerprints?
We just went through a massive hurricane. I'm gonna have a lot of waterlogged bodies. Only some of them will have viable fingerprints.
Excellent, excellent.
Quite a few
Okay.
of them are going to be cremated.
Awesome. Fantastic.
This is the second time you've needed a body from me.
Okay, this time I just need the fingerprints. I don't need the body.
Go on.
Because you see, law enforcement databases track all kinds of things. Hell, they have my fingerprints on somewhere. I guarantee it.
Yeah, so they track fingerprints, ear prints, various other unique things.
Yes. So, if he's going to use all of my aliases, let's give him one more.
How airtight are you looking to make this?
Not very, actually. Because I don't want it to be so good that it goes off without a hitch. I need it to be faked enough that it comes up as faked.
All right. And then what?
Do unto others as they have done to me.
Blow them up?
I came out of there relatively unscathed.
Yes, I'm aware I put my thumb in it.
Yes. He wants to frame me. Let's frame him.
All right. What crime?
Working on that one.
Tell me
Nothing
when
that
you
will.
have finished this crime so that we can lay out the evidence of him.
Obviously, I don't want it to be anything that's going to cause everybody to show up, because that will just exasperate the problem.
Well, aren't we trying to find someone to fall for the bomb that just went off? How are we going to solve that situation if we're pinning another crime?
I mean, we could keep it to that plan. That would make the most sense.
And it's already ready-made.
Fair. Yeah, I always overthink. It's my curse.
It is strange that you overthink, but have little result.
It's too bad we don't have Drake here. He always balances out your overthinking.
That's mostly because when he speaks, my IQ drops.
Where is he, by the way?
Probably putting a hole in another person walking down the street. Who knows?
I do greatly hope, though, that he hasn't been taken by Victor. It's unsettling how many people have disappeared who are in his aura.
Orbit? Yes. So, we are going to make a fake ID with one of the bodies that's been collected from the hurricane. And we're going to use it as bait. We're going to link it to the bomb.
Yes, that fake ID, fingerprints, connect him to the bomb. Make sure it sticks this time. And hopefully, if he realizes that I was involved with this, he will GTFO.
I find that scenario unlikely, that he will just leave you.
Worst case scenario, I go to take him with me, and whatever the hell happens, happens.
No. We are not doing that. Which of his identities are we going to be using for this body?
Well, here was my thing. Can you actually get the fingerprints to connect to him digitally?
Maybe.
Well, they are his fingerprints. Are you suggesting something else, like footprints?
Well, no, I just want to make sure that I'm not saying that she's incapable. If we
And
connect
I said
them...
if it's a fall person, the identity will be connected to the crime. But the identity will be linked to this body. You are basically calling him a dead man. He will likely try and trace where it is. And he will find me. Which I'm sure he already has. If he finds me, I will kill him.
Fair. And I feel like you will make another stab wound just to jab at me for causing you that problem?
You are already going to be helping me with the numerous amount of shades that are within this city that I have been tasked with fixing since before Edwin's death. And I am not sure how I'm supposed to do this alone.
Well, you're not alone. You have us with you.
It is difficult to rely on people that don't really know what is going on. And family can be hit or miss.
I am a quick study. I can help in whatever ways that I can. I'd like to.
I appreciate that. I will see. Petersburg lays on many ley lines. And they seem to have this magnetic sort of pulse for power. Many points that can be drawn on. And it's seems to have attracted quite a bit of attention both in the past and now. These shades pull on passions, people, and they are fond of possession, as you saw at the previous when we were within Elysium. The rebellion of the ghouls and the staff. They were possessed.
Once one has been possessed, is it possible to have them unpossessed, or is it do you have to kill them to release that?
I've never been personally. I never tried. I haven't met many people that have been possessed.
Now, when you say help,
Do you remember how Drake helped?
Yes, where I was going with that, you're gonna have to.
Yes. If one attaches to you, I will have to stab you. But that will be if any of them attach to you regardless. I was more thinking of keeping track of strange deaths in the area, odd behavior that you see around if you see people suddenly go blank or morose. There's a very real possibility I won't have to stab either of you. There was simply something attached to Drake. And I have told you before, Matthew, there's nothing attached to you.
Now I'm grateful for that.
If I'm able to do this, then I'm able to release it. They go back into oblivion. They're not gone for good, they're just gone for now.
Story of my life.
Nothing is so simple.
Well, no. Louis was gone for now, not gone for good.
Would you have been happy if he was gone for good?
That spot right here that used to go, dum 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 dum. It kind of would feel bad. But I told him when I was talking to him that night, I would have done anything for him and Mina in a heartbeat. One thing's changed.
We are not creatures that easily let go of things.
It also may have been better if he had at least communicated to you that he was attempting to send you away to save you. It seems a bit short-sighted to send your best friend away and not even tell them why.
He did point out several times that doing this made me harmless. I so want to prove him wrong.
He does know that there's a difference between harmless and peaceful.
My father used to tell me all the time that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the perseverance to go through it when feeling fear. And I wouldn't call this courage right now. Yeah, no, I'm thinking vengeance. But I promise, I will not do anything reckless again.
I think you've made that promise about 3 times now, Matthew.
And eventually it will stick.
I don't believe you this time.
Good, because I had a hard time convincing myself I was being truthful.
So you're going to be going with someone rather than alone this time.
Yes, Mom, I promise I will not go anywhere without adult supervision.
You're just stupid. There's no fixing that.
I like to think of it as dangerously optimistic.
When you were embraced on the top of that building, you didn't happen to fall off, did you?
No, it would have been a whole different story going on here had I fallen off at that point in time, because one, it would have been really impressive to fall off the Empire State Building. That's like impossible. Somebody would have had to have thrown me.
Quite frankly, surprised no one did.
In terms of alone and reckless, Maggie, why is it your family has deemed it appropriate for you to tackle all the shades of St. Petersburg apparently alone? Like I said, you have us, but you said this was a very difficult task.
It wasn't
Why?
my family. It was Edwin. And I have been working alongside some members of my family, but they are rather pernicious and secretive from each other. So all the information collects within me. Therefore, I have to create all of the answers. Because I'm the only one that's able to know everything. Because they don't like to talk to each other. And it's difficult.
Well, in the future, I won't speak for Matthew, but if there are requirements for boons in order to obtain said knowledge or help from your family, since I'm not, as you said, perhaps going to be good at dealing with the shades, I don't mind helping acquire those boons in what ways that I'm able to.
I would appreciate that. I need to figure out what is going on so that I can get my family and to fix it. Because this is our wheelhouse. It is something that we have evidently dealt with before in a way. But apparently this is different. And it is hard to focus on with everything else. And I don't want to neglect either of you as my coterie.
Oh, of course not. And like I said, I will not neglect you either. This is quite a large task for Edwin to thrust upon you. But I think that is a compliment to your capabilities.
Thank you. And by the way, you didn't answer my question of whether you wanted me to keep your grandsire here.
Oh, I suppose I'll prepare myself and talk to him. I assume he will probably go back to where he dwells, as he's had adequate rest, but I do wish to speak with him before he leaves. I don't think he will be a direct danger to us. He is, as much as it can be said, an upstanding member of the Camarilla, and I don't think he would endanger that by harming either you or Matthew. And in terms of my safety, the channels he has gone through to gain official access makes me feel less concerned he would just nab me out of the cat's cradle. Yes, so I'll prepare what I was going to say now. And Sophie pulls out what looks like a journal and begins writing into it.
Of course. I have to go and vet a venue for a family meeting because it had to be moved. She kind of makes it. Hurricane moved things around.
They tend to do that.
You are welcome to stay here. You are also welcome to leave. And she will start making her way out.
I'm assuming, Sophie, you're definitely not going to want to be alone with him when you ask these questions, but at the same time, it's probably something you want to do in private, so I will leave it to you.
If I feel I'm going to come to harm's way, I shall yell out. What is something easy that you might not say in a normal conversation, but that would alert you? Perhaps like a food item. Perhaps I'll just yell out something like mustard or banana, and that will alert you that I am in danger.
Okay. Yeah, okay. We'll go with something yellow. Sunflowers. Yeah, well, sunflowers. I'm a fan. He wasn't my favorite, but Van Gogh's Sunflowers, they're iconic. That will definitely catch my attention.
Personally, I love Van Gogh, but to each their own opinion.
I mean, you could have chosen anybody. At least him, I respect. Hell, the only reason I don't like Caravaggio is by proxy.
Matthew, at this moment you get a text. Not so much a text, more of just like an alert.
And he'll check his phone.
There is a update on the website that you guys investigated a long time ago and first looking into stealing from Victor Adams. His website's art portfolio has updated with an announcement.
Oh, lovely.
On the 9th of December, we will be debuting our final showing of Victor's Angels. Here's a little sneak preview for those who may or may not have been invited. And then there is an image of Gray laying almost Christ-like in a bed of flowers with what appears to be a cross staked into his chest.
Matt will proceed to blurt out a string of expletives in French. And try really hard not to throw the phone.
Matthew, are you quite all right?
Solved one riddle. I found Gray.
Oh, good. He's all right then?
Not even remotely, Miss Clues. Not even remotely.
Well, you said you found him. Did he send you a message, or how do you know of how he is?
You weren't with us when we were first investigating Victor. That was an update to Victor's website of him debuting a new centerpiece. Unfortunately, Mr. Novak is the centerpiece.
One of his angels.
That would be that.
Is he in a state like Edwin is?
Not quite as gruesome, but bordering.
Is there no hope to help him then?
Considering I don't know when this was taken, and how long it's been since then. He is Schrodinger's cat. So, I say we focus on your grandpa. We worry about my bestie. Not too far into the future. And then we go and pluck that son of a bitch's heart out and figure out what happened to my friend. If for no other reason than to stop him from making any more atrocities he calls art. Hell, even if I didn't like Gray, I'd kill him and the principal alone for that.
I do wish Duncan wasn't imprisoned. The moment he would have been a good help for perhaps getting into Victor's manor. I do wish we had a few more allies.
Well, I've finally accepted the fact that I am a god-awful planner. In fact, I shouldn't be doing it at all. But I was reminded that I am damn good at getting into things. So I can at least help you in regards to getting into the manor. As for allies, we'll see if we can scrounge some up. I'm pretty sure there are a few friends around here who might be willing to help.
Fortunately, I'm not sure if you can count Carmen on that list as well. She seemed pretty perturbed at the gala for good reason, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be, if I'm not already blacklisted from Tenoche, I know she sure as hell isn't going to go anywhere with me again. But no, I was thinking, put feelers out. See if anybody wants to cause a little ruckus. And you'd be surprised. Some people just might be bored. And, I mean, if we can get Drake to stop staring at himself in the mirror or wherever the hell he is, he'll definitely be some use.
Now that you have this information, Matthew, how are you to proceed?
Well, I'm going to at least text that I figured out what's up with Gray to Maggie. He would, just in case, because he's pretty sure Bella would have had that same alert text on her phone, but just in case, let her know. And as much as he would love to just immediately storm the castle, he knows that's a bad idea. So he's going to wait till they can all actually group together and figure out where to go from there.
About that moment, you hear a knock on the drawer.
All right. That will be my cue. Maggie, do you happen to have a room more private where you could still possibly hear me shout if I need it?
I do believe Maggie left.
Then Sophie will go to the drawer and open it. She will be holding a steak.
Shall I be off?
Oh, well, I was just going to go into a room, but have you nearby just in case things get
Dicey.
violent. Yes.
Gotcha. All right. And then he would just perch himself on the nearest flat surface.
You
So
open-
Sophie. Oh yeah.
You open the drawer, and he kind of cranes his head up, looks at you, sees the steak. Well, good evening to you too.
Good evening. Don't worry. This is just in case you had any violent tendencies. I would like to ask you a few questions in Maggie's office, or I suppose it might be Jarvis's office. But it is really kind of both of their office. Regardless, we shall go in there. If you are to do any funny business, Matthew will come and help, and we will put you down. So I do hope there won't be any funny business.
Well, that seems more than fair to me.
Yes, right. Well, after you, do you need assistance getting out of the drawer?
Oh, I think I can manage. And he will kind of put his hands up on the drawer and push the drawer out, turn and hop off. Lead the way.
Sophie will hold the door open for Ezekiel.
He steps through and will follow you to nearby room. Probably a storage room would probably be the nearest location.
They have an office.
They do, but I presume that the office would be locked. That is Maggie's office.
Okay, sure. So, Mr. Thorne, I just have a few questions before you are free to go on your way.
Ask away.
Right. How many childer do you currently have?
Well, as of a couple years ago, it would have been 2, but now I heavily suspect it's just the 1.
Why did you choose a narcissistic, abusive person to give them immortality?
To be fair, the further back you go, the more narcissistic people tend to be. But, he wasn't quite as volatile when I knew him.
Sure, but I'm assuming there were reasons why
Why
you
I
made
chose.
Kristoff
Well, you asked. Fair enough.
a kindred.
Yes. Kristoff was entertaining. There was something different about them compared to the others that I had met or considered in my youth. He was very charming. Many people were drawn to Kristoff.
Do you plan in the future to embrace more who are similar in charming factors?
I embraced my final child roughly 50, 60 years ago.
All right. Do you intend to remain in St. Petersburg, or will you be returning to Chicago?
Remains to be seen.
All right.
St. Petersburg is very interesting, but Chicago has become rather dull. And I would like my childer to not have to exist within that environment for too much longer, for I know that I will not probably be on this side of the world very much longer myself.
Are you considerably older? Are you referring to this trend of elder to leave and go?
If you are
East?
asking if I am hearing the beckoning, I am.
Right. Well, maybe you'll join Kristoff. What are your feelings about the Camarilla, and how do you feel about the rules that they've set forth?
I've lived within the safety of the Camarilla my entire kindred life. I may find some more traditional values to be a little archaic, but they keep us safe.
So, do you believe it's within your duty, if you believe that there is a potential incident where a masquerade would be breached, that you must do everything within your power to help stop that breach?
I think masquerade breaches should be dealt with swiftly.
Hmm. if there were someone near to the Camarilla conducting artistic exhibitions that could fall into the hands of kind that shows explicit torture of kindred, would you find yourself within your duty to do something about that?
I do believe it would technically fall under the duty of the sheriff. Now, my dear girl, I do feel like you're asking me very pointed questions, it feels. Is there something that you are trying to gain from this exchange outside of my intentions?
Well, you speak of accounting and having the right teachings. You were concerned that Duncan was not a very good teacher in those respects, and that is why you've pursued the official channels to attain accounting. So I am asking these as I must come to the decision of helping in situations similar as that. So of course I am seeing what your great wisdom would offer to know if it would be good for accounting.
I see. The reason I throw any concern in regard to Duncan's ability to teach you the proper ways to navigate this world, for two reasons, as you stated. Both of you shared a volatile sire. And while Duncan, well, I guess I can't say for sure, Duncan is currently incarcerated for the murder of the Keeper of Elysium. So that does make what I could assume to be your education concerning. Second, given the nature of what I understand to be your upbringing, I must assume that you have been rather sheltered. And despite being older, you have the experience of someone who hasn't been around the block, so to speak. So I do believe my intention in coming here is, as I said, I do feel the beckoning, and I wish to make sure that those that I will be leaving will be tended for. I will not be necessarily wholly accountable for you. As I said, I won't be here much longer. But I do have somebody who I know would look to you. That is why I'm here.
To your point of Duncan, he was always very caring and wonderful in our time as a family. And he is, at the moment, unjustly incarcerated. So I don't think you have to worry about his teachings and values. I don't know what happened to Edwin. I am completely stumped, in all honesty. It's as if some invisible phantom just and ripped him from his skin. It's almost not even like what a kindred would do. It was extremely grotesque and very fast. So I don't know what occurred there, but Duncan has always put my safety as his highest priority.
I believe that. I remember when Kristoff chose Duncan. But it's not a matter of Duncan as himself anymore now, is it?
Right, you mentioned your other childer. So, are they also visiting Saint Pete?
They are.
And do they intend to stay within Saint Pete?
I suppose that depends on them, but they are leaving Chicago.
Right. Well, what is their name and an approximate description?
La Belle de Menuit.
So many French in St. Petersburg. All right. And
You
are
might
they?
know her as Mary.
What?
Mary. She is my childer.
Uh, I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused. You said La Belle?
The name that she goes on stage with.
Oh, she's a. I don't know of many recent singers, although Matthew has mentioned a few, although they are also a bit older.
I wouldn't say recent. She's been singing since the 50s.
Right, well, yes, well, I don't know of that singer, but I'm sure she's great.
Well, you should. I do believe that the two of you have seen each other or performed together. A very long time ago.
There was no one in with the family. Christoph made quite sure of our isolation. I'm sure, as you well know.
I do.
So
See,
we
it
did not have
is.
performances
Mhm.
with others.
She's been asking about you. See, she is primarily the reason I'm here.
I didn't. There was no one else down there. There was me and Duncan and Christoph.
They wouldn't
So
have been down there. This was before.
you mean
You know who I'm
before
speaking of.
I saw? This is ridiculous. You are just trying to goad me to show that I'm not able to account for myself. I watched
Having an emotional
you.
response is not losing control of yourself.
I watched as your little friend feasted on her.
You did.
She has passed on, and it is extremely rude for you to bring her up and sully her passing in such a way.
I wouldn't dream of it. He did. He harmed her greatly. I instructed him not to touch her. I was going to make her forget and move on. But he essentially killed her there on the street. I was impressed with how well she protected herself and tried to protect you. And I did hear her singing. I find her entertaining.
Well, she was also quite a good boxer.
That she is.
I do not know if you are trying to trick me. So, if you are telling the truth, then I must make a meeting to speak with her, but with my coterie must be available.
Well, your coterie seems a little unreliable.
Don't you
But of course,
dare
your terms.
say that about my coterie. Maggie has been one of the most competent kindred that I've seen out of this entire crew. Edwin was up there, but now look where he is. That's not on him, really, although it could be, but that's not his fault that he was flayed. He seemed very competent as well. And then Bella is actually the whip of Clan Malkavian, and she's been doing a lot of work for Charlie, and so she's not unreliable. She's just currently busy. And
If I understand, she has left the city
on
with her sire.
pertinent business. They have a lot to do. So that's not unreliable. That's actually the most reliable. They're willing to extend their reach beyond the city for the good of the Camarilla.
So a known Autarchus, who is, as far as I can tell, quite disreputable here in the city, is off with his Childer the Whip. Look, I don't mean any offense, but our meeting was supposed to be had with Bellatrix, and she left the city. I have been meeting all of the conditions you've asked, and it keeps getting postponed because these conditions are bent on these individuals who don't seem to not saying there is a level of incompetence, but there is a level of perhaps inconsideration. But I
Our
understand that they are
coterie
your friends.
saved the city. I'll remind you, during that hurricane, it was mostly
True.
Maggie. Unfortunately, you are correct. I did not do as much as I possibly could have, but
I am not speaking to you about your actions, Sophie. You have a deranged Bruja who is a walking time bomb.
he is reformed.
You have...
He's reformed from being deranged. He was in a cult, but now he's no longer there, and that is progress.
The person who you have just referenced as the most reliable member of your coterie is a Hecata.
Yes. And what's wrong with that? Are you going to discriminate against other kindred because of their lineage?
No, of course not. The issue is that the Hecata already have an alliance, so to speak. She's already estranged from her family, being a member of the Camarilla, and the Camarilla distrust her because she is Hecata. The most formidable member of your group is one of the most controversial.
Or perhaps that is why she is putting her best foot forward to show that regardless of the rest of her family, she is willing to do what it takes to protect the Camarilla. I think that's extremely brave, and yes, I have full trust in her.
Again, I do not mean to disparage. I simply am stating they don't seem to look to you or what things that you require. From what I have witnessed, it seems to be focused on their own dealings. And you are being dragged along. You got dragged into all of this because Duncan. Why are you
Yes,
still allowing
well,
them to drag you into their messes?
I was actually saved by a wonderful Nicholas, who unfortunately passed into the sun as he helped protect the Coterie in one of those messes that unfortunately Duncan was in. But again, that was because Edwin had put Duncan in harm's way to gain us access to the city, to accept us back into society. So I wasn't dragged in. I had to accept that problem
Sure, and like
when
I stated,
re-entering society.
as I stated, in Duncan's case, that is understandable. And however that entire thing escalated, you could have died because one of your coterie member had a hunter working for him, and they were hunting we had captured the Matthew's ghoul, or not ghoul, touchstone lady that he liked, that individual. You got wrapped up into all of this
Her name
nonsense.
was Mina.
Mina, yes. You were wrapped up into all of that because of Duncan, but why are you doing it now? Why are you the one, and why are you centered in all of these situations that you don't need to be in? You barely know the tenets that are the laws of our society. Why are you cleaning up their messes? Why are you here? You should be learning. You should be adapting to the life that you live. Why are you cleaning up the messes of the Camarilla and this coterie, which seems to be in the middle of all of it?
I'm not cleaning up messes. And this coterie has been the most opening and welcoming to me and in my learning. And I'm not going to leave them because they've had my back and I've had theirs, and this is like a new family. And I will not see the remaining members of my family get picked off any more than they have.
Very well. You've answered my question, I'll answer yours. Until I know that your business here is complete and that you are not dead, I will be staying in St. Petersburg.
If it is true that the sheriff would be obligated to intervene in a Masquerade breach, would it sound more urgent if someone more elder were to ask for assistance from the sheriff?
What is this breach? Is he blatantly coming out and claiming that he is a kindred and harming other kindred? What is the nature of the breach?
I'm not exactly sure of all of the details. Mr. Holden knows more of it, but this kindred is taking other kindred and I suppose, painting them in a specific light where they're in torturous situations, and it feels quite bad in terms of the masquerade if you have a body that looks dead and is in, has pieces missing, but then if it's too realistic, which it would be, people are going to be concerned. But then you see, that the human body can only withstand so much.
My advice to you in this regard would be to take it to the proper authorities. For you to go out and do if you truly suspect that this kindred is doing vile things to other kindred, it would be a sense of vigilantism for you to go deal with it yourself. Which, even as kindred, that is frowned upon.
Well, like I said, do you think if I were to approach the sheriff with something like this, would they even take it seriously, or would it be better if someone older with more influence were to bring it to their attention?
If you're asking if I could bring attention to it, I am new in this city. I don't have much influence here, Sophie, but if you
And
have
you think that
proper
I
evidence...
do? I was recently blamed for killing the Keeper of Elysium, even though I had nothing to do with it.
Sure, but you've been cleared, no?
Only because Duncan is self-sacrificial, which you seem to forget when you blame him for my teachings. I mean, he's really falling down upon it for me.
I did not say that Duncan is a foul person or a failure in any capacity, but I do know if Duncan was his teacher, I don't know what Duncan might have told him, and if Duncan lost his mind and locked you out of bunker for the better part of a century, then perhaps Duncan might not have learned the best lessons from him either. I'm sure Duncan is a fine boy, but I can't do much for Duncan right now. I can try to do something for you.
Then please bring it, or at least accompany me if I'm to bring it to the sheriff's attention. They may take me a bit more seriously if someone older is there.
If my presence is what you wish, I will be there, but I do advise that you study your evidence, or maybe have somebody, a member of your coterie, accompany us that is also well versed in the evidence that you wish to bring about them. Because if your evidence is not damning enough, then they won't do anything about it.
That is actually very appropriate advice, and I will take that under advisement. Now, is there anything that you need before you are to return to your homestead?
I should be fine. I thank you, though.
Yes, well, this has been enlightening. I do hope to see you if I am to contact the sheriff.
And I hope to see you again. Is there anything else?
That will be all. Thank you.
He kind of steps toward the door and opens it, and then he turns back. I understand your connection to these people is one of family, and I would never think to take that from you. But I have noticed that people in your family don't, people in the family you have right now don't stay around very long. Not to any fault of their own, but that does seem to be the case. Should you want it, you do have family here. He bows his head, and he goes to leave.
Sophie will take a moment to collect herself and return to the room with Matthew. And she will let him know that she is fine and she is going to return to books and bourbon, and she will take her leave.
As you leave, Matthew, in the morgue, we are going to shift to Maggie. After you break away from the group, where do you go and what are you doing?
Maggie will. The address that Edwin gave her for the place, the venue that he determined would be where the family would be meeting. Is that within walking distance or would that require driving?
You guys are pretty, yeah, you could probably walk there reasonably, about 20-minute walk.
Okay. Well, then she would just start walking in the direction of this place. Probably slide on a pair of sunglasses and start looking around, remembering what Amethyst told her. Trying to cool off from the various frustrations she's feeling with people around her at the moment. And she just walk. Occasionally activating her oblivion sight as she is looking around. Her sense the unseen is just going.
As you are observing, there is something. Give me what's on awareness.
And she is going to activate her heightened senses. That is 6.
Okay. As you're kind of looking about, you see that there is a kind of lingering, almost blanket over the city. But beyond that, you, almost as if the buildings are casting a shadow on the clouds, you see more depth to the shadows. You see what appear to be several long legs that seem to expand past what you can see. Just kind of almost resting over the city.
Did they seem to be coming from a specific direction?
They seem to be, you see roughly, I guess in this particular spot, you might see like 3, maybe 4, heading probably toward the center downtown.
Okay. Is that the same direction she's going, or is it a different direction?
You are heading west right now, so this would be more southwest. So it's general direction, but you are breaking off from the path.
Okay. She will kind of track it with her eyes till she has to break away from that path. And she'll make a note to check it out after she is done looking over the venue.
You walk a little ways before you find the address that Edwin had given you. Looks like it might have been like an old pharmacy that got closed down and is waiting for a new vacancy. You approach the building. The door opens. Not necessarily opens, but the door is unlocked if you wish to go in.
Okay, yeah. She will head in and start looking around.
You step in, you see most of the windows have been boarded, but kind of like the top of the building. Any shelving that might have been here has either been removed or kind of moved to the side of the room. It looks like there has been some already like some furnishing being done. You can see Edwin did some prep work for getting this place ready, but looks like it got stopped after what happened to him.
Okay. Maggie is going to take a couple of pictures and send them to Jarvis to see about getting this place finished.
I will make preparations.
Thank you. And she'll look around a little more to see if there's like any other things that like need to be done, but if it looks like it's just furnishings.
Without knowing like specific like nature of the meeting, it's hard to say if there's anything outside of literally a place to talk that is required. I guess if you wanted to get more information like that, you'd probably have to reach out.
She is going to call their funeral home with the intent to leave a voicemail to let them know that the meeting place has been acquired. It is being furnished, but I am unaware of what else you need for this place. And she will leave that as just a voicemail.
Sure. You leave a voicemail. What do you do in the meantime?
She will step out and start heading in that southwest direction. But as she is walking and looking, she's going to pull out her phone and she is going to call Pietro.
The phone rings a couple of times. And then finally, Maggie, what can I do for you?
Pietro, it's been quite some time. I wanted to call to let you know that we survived the storm. Well enough.
I'm grateful to hear it. I must say I was a little concerned after seeing what I saw on the news.
Yes, it was quite an endeavor. I had some questions in regards to some of the work that our family does.
No, I would be happy to answer in any capacity that you need, but I must ask first, since it has been some time. What How are things going with the sea life, as it were?
The sea life has been quite interesting around here. They have quite the number of things that wash ashore.
Have you found anything you were looking for?
I found many a story.
I see. I'd be most interested in hearing these stories, but we can come back to that later. What are these questions of yours?
Have you ever heard of when an instrument makes a sound in a room, does the echo remain? Even faint. There seem to be many echoes here,
I see.
and they seem to be subsumed into a larger sound.
You say they seem to have become a larger sound, and could you perhaps elaborate further?
They when the sound leaves the instrument, it gets pulled. The echo lingers for a moment, and then another sound pulls it into its song. It's becoming quite cacophonous.
What, might I ask, is the temperament of the song?
Very akin to jazz.
And perhaps who seems to be responding to it most?
The lost. The depressed. The melancholic. It pulls. It draws them in. It reminds me of a New Orleans funeral.
I'm going to make a roll for them real quick. Uh, Maybe leaves them a little more empty than before.
Yes. And there
When
have
did you and
been. Sorry. And there have been. When we were sheltering during the hurricane, there have been moments where this sound overtook the instruments.
And you encountered it during the hurricane.
Yes. I was able to push it away for a little while. It seems to anchor itself here.
How many family members are currently in St. Petersburg?
I have met 3. Outside of myself. I anticipate that there will be more. There have been, when I last saw the ones that were sticking to the more neutral areas in this city. They are going to be having a party. And they are inviting some upper crust of the family.
I would like you to forward me their contact. And I will be visiting St. Pete very soon.
Your business is done in Savannah.
This is a bit more trouble.
Understood. We have someone here that is our contact with the local government, the city at large. Her name is Miss Hughes. I will make sure to send you hers as well.
Very well. Have you seen its presence? Have you heard the song since the
Yes.
hurricane?
I am following parts of it.
About this point, as you've been kind of walking the path, you see, you're kind of like walking underneath one of these outreaching arms, and then finally you see there's roughly 8 connecting to a larger hole that looks like it's just a shadow cast through the clouds. That seems
There's
to be kind of
another one.
hovering over the city.
Do the legs look like they have anchor points? Or does there an anchor point look like there's connected to the hole?
It doesn't look so much that it's... You mean like a fetter type situation?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like that so much. It looks more to the effect of... It looks like this is somehow clinging to the veil itself. Like you are... There's just something so massive on the other side of that veil that you look at on a night-to-night basis that you can't help but see it just by looking at it now.
Okay. There is something that is outstretched and clinging.
I'll be in the city tomorrow night.
Right, I will I'll make sure I will send you their contact information and make sure to alert them that you are coming into town. I look forward to seeing you, Pietro.
I look forward to seeing you as well. It's good to hear from you.
You too.
Stay safe. I will see you tomorrow evening.
I make
Assuming
no
the weather
promises. This place is very dangerous. You be careful getting here.
Of course. And he will get off the phone.
And she'll hang up. She will follow the legs a little further until she's kind of looking up at like either the off center or the center of it. Just kind of in awe of how much it is. And then try and focus downward of where that they can do the work to either put this thing off or push it further into oblivion.
Okay. As you spend much of the time you have left in this evening studying the space around you, we will go ahead and cut to a break. Thank you everyone for tagging along so far. We appreciate you, and we will catch you back in about 5 minutes. And welcome back. It is the last week of November as the Coterie comes back together at the Ascent, a place none of them have really been to since the events at the Gala. But with some unfinished business, we find ourselves in the same common room. I'll go ahead and hand the scene over to you guys, with Matthew being the last to arrive.
Maggie will have set out a couple of notebooks. There is a map with a triangle drawn on it that seems to have a place called Clear Vista in the middle. There seems to be like scrawled ideas that are either unfinished or mildly legible alongside it, and her hair is pulled back into like frizzy ponytail. And she'll look up at Sophie and give her a nod. I put some thoughts into... Well, we should probably wait till Matthew gets here. Both of you are sneakier than me, but...
Yes, but you are very competent in your own talents.
Thank you, I appreciate the vote of confidence.
I just want you to know that I appreciate everything that you do for both the Coterie and the Camarilla. It does not go underappreciated.
Do you think I'm going to die?
No. If anything, I think you're the most likely to survive in most of these scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, and he'll be coming around the corner of the walking in. If I had to place a wager on who's most likely to survive, it would be you, Maggie.
Well, if either of you died, I hope it's at least interesting.
I've told you before, I apologize, but I want a very boring death.
It'll most likely be a me doing something stupid. Let's be real.
Well, you've done plenty of interesting things so far. I'm sure that your death will be no less interesting.
Yeah.
There was actually there's actually a couple of things I should probably go over with both of you. My sire is in the city now. He came in about 2 weeks ago.
Is he are you both on good terms? Is this a happy occasion or a sad occasion?
We are on good terms. I have a very good relationship with him.
Oh, wonderful.
I think we are going to be working more together to figure out the problem of these shades. And the spiritual problem. Then this brings me to what I wanted to talk to both of you about. You said, she kind of points at both Matthew and Sophie. You said that Edwin was flayed and dragged under a bookcase by an unseen presence.
Well, before his skin was removed, his appendages were each individually also broken.
Yeah, he was crumpled up like old paper before he was faxed through the door, so to speak.
I I see. Well, I would like to go take a look at his office. I'm not sure if there's any remains or whatever, or any residue from what happened, but it doesn't really do much harm to look. We've been a little busy to go and check it out ourselves.
Yes, they weren't too keen on me looking before, but perhaps now that we've all been technically cleared and you have a direct mission that could potentially save the city yet again, I'm sure they would be willing to let us take a look around his office.
If nothing else, both of you are very good at talking and can distract them while I go look.
Yes, Matthew is very competent at talking.
You are also very competent at talking, Sophie.
Why, thank you, Maggie.
We'll get to the Stepford Wives thing in a minute here. I mean, I'm in, if for no other reason than I've always been curious what's behind there.
Yes, I am curious too. If we're able to, I'd like to get back up on top of the roof to see if I can gauge any similarities. I don't think I will be able to, but it's no harm in trying. At this point, at least.
I mean, we could use that as a reason to get in. You need to take a look around because you're worried that, more of this stuff might happen. And that pretty much was the apex of disaster area when it happened.
Yes.
I do also want to bring up, potentially while we're taking a peep into his belongings, if Edwin was carrying any compacted evidence of Victor's doings that might be beneficial to us. I had an interesting conversation with Mr. Thorne, and he did suggest the sheriff, which I wanted to bring forward to the both of you because Matthew, I know your feelings with figures of authority, but if we can gather some evidence that may substantially show a potential masquerade break from Victor in the future, or potentially ones that have already occurred, we may be able to gain more official help when we deal with him.
Considering our track record and how I like to jump the gun sometimes, getting people of authority to help us in this situation who will less likely get in trouble for investigating possibly would not do any harm. Okay, no. I didn't grow a conscience, and my heart didn't start beating again. I didn't like that feeling.
I mean, all in all, the sheriff may spit in my face and tell me that it's none of their concern and that I should not bother them with it. But if we have something of Edwin's that shows there should be concern, it may help us get more allies.
Speaking of, she will just look at Matt. This shadow broker that Edwin worked for. Do you have any further information on that?
Nothing that he didn't already share with us that I'm aware of.
Hmm.
Why, you thinking of looking this person up, or?
I'm not sure.
Or perhaps this shadow broker who has shadow in the name has some sort of power to do this, and perhaps Edwin didn't do a good job, and the shadow broker was angry and took it out on Edwin. It's a possibility.
I mean, yeah, that tracks. It was pretty dark in there, and Edwin was pretty brokered after that.
Hmm. Yes. Could have been a great many things. Could have been the Tremere after they withdrew back into their chantry. Could have been whoever he took that oblivion from. Many options.
So yes, Maggie, I quite agree. I will accompany you to his office.
Excellent.
Field trip?
Yes.
And with that, our coterie leaves the ascent and makes their way to the Delhi. Except when you arrive this time, it's not the same kind of welcoming that you're accustomed to. When you arrive, a couple of members of the usual security force step forward. One steps forward and breaks from them and moves a little closer. We weren't expecting company this evening.
Yes, you'll have to forgive us. It was a spur of the moment decision, but my associate here, Miss Haywood, believes there might be some problems that stemmed from the last time we had an incident here, or I should say you. So she wished to investigate to make sure that the problem doesn't resurface.
There are places in the Delhi that are not as open as they once were. But if you will give me a moment, the person
Absolutely.
currently overseeing security will come see you.
Of course. We wouldn't want to do anything, untoward to cause any problems.
Appreciated. Bear with me a few moments. And he turns and returns to the building. 10 minutes, 30 minutes, about 40 minutes pass. They come back outside. And with them is Kyle. I understand that you have some reason for being here tonight. Something regarding the event in the hurricane.
Oh yes, the one in which Miss Haywood deftly saved most of the city. She has concerns.
Yeah.
Right. Miss Hayward, what seems to be your concern?
The problem that happened that was linked above Elysium and that caused the everyone to go amok was a temporary solution. At the moment, I want to see if there are any similarities that I can go off of from a place that has been severed.
After an investigation led by the sheriff, a conclusion had been come to that the mania induced to the servitors here were done by the hunters that had been present.
I was given special dispensation by Mr. Kane to use certain abilities of mine to look around as I was during the shutdown, during the lock-in. And that is an understandable but incorrect conclusion. The hunters simply took advantage of the situation that they came upon.
Like robbing a bank while the bank next door is being robbed, you know?
Right. Allow me a moment. He turns around. You see him pull out his phone. He steps closer to the building, and you see him go to make a phone call.
Can I activate heightened senses?
Give me what's an awareness.
I was going to do the same.
Four.
Okay.
Also 4.
Pop heightened senses, and you begin listening. You hear Kaho. Edwin's Coterie is here again. They've brought up some information regarding, Hakata business on the night of Edwin's death. If what they're saying is true, and do you want me to let them in? And you hear faintly coming from the other side. The boss says that is fine, but keep an eye on them. Right, will do. Hangs up the phone, and he turns to come back. Very well. We'll let you inside. Most of the repairs have been made at this point, from the roof and such. And I hope you understand, there will be an escort for most of the time. We are still looking into things, clearing some things out. You understand.
Of course.
Oh, absolutely.
He turns toward the one who originally kind of addressed you. This one, he's newer here. His name's Nick. He's going to show you around. He'll follow you as you are doing what you're doing. If you need anything, don't be afraid to reach out. And he turns and heads back toward the building.
Sophie is going to turn to Nick. Now, don't be afraid. While Miss Haywood, is performing her looks into the spiritual cleansing of this area, sometimes the shades, they tend to stick to people, and the only way to release it is, unfortunately, to stab them. But you probably won't get attached to. Just try to stay maybe a little toward the door, so it'd be more likely one of us gets the attachment. We don't want you to get stabbed, but please be aware, if you see Miss Haywood stab Mr. Lacar or I, it's simply part of cleansing this building.
He looks mortified. He turns to, like, almost looking for some kind of, like, is she, like, fucking with me? As she turns toward Matthew and Maggie.
Oh no.
The previous time when we were here, I had to stab our associate. She kind of looks around. Oh, he is not currently with us at the moment. Tall Bruja hat.
Go ahead.
I mean, we can. I mean, in our defense, we can take that. We're a little more sturdy in a way, but worst case scenario, you'll get some vacation time. Think about that.
Okay. I think Sophie setting the groundwork is going to do the role itself. So I will want because of how you handle it, I'll call it charisma and intimidation, but you can take a die from each of them providing you assistance.
Who is rolling that?
Sophie.
Good.
You can blood surge as well if you wish.
I will be doing that.
Okay. He sits there for a moment. Okay. I'm sure it would be fine if I wait in the hallway when you're doing your whatever that is. And you can just let me know when you're done. This agreeable?
Oh yes, that will probably be the safest place for you.
Very good. Where do you need to go?
There are 2 locations that I wanted to. Well, actually 3. The main room that we were all congregated in, Mr. Kane's office, and if we are able to, I would like to go take a look at the roof again.
Okay, yeah, all 3 of those should be accessible. Certainly. Follow me. And he...
Thank you.
Yeah. He takes you inside first, going into that main kind of lobby that everything took place in. Looking at it now, it's almost as if nothing happened. Here you are.
Thank you. And so that I don't disturb you any further, she's gonna slide on her sunglasses and activate her Oblivion sight.
Okay. As you kind of look about here, you can tell that there has been a pretty significant amount of death that took place in this area. But you don't see anything necessarily clinging. It's just worn.
Okay. If she activates Binding Fetter, is there any in this room?
No fetters in this room.
Okay. As she is kind of looking along, she is like pressing her hand against the wall and kind of looking around, just like retracing her steps of what she saw before. And kind of muttering under her breath, moving like there are people around her. Remembering where people were and the way that these strains kind of clung on to the servitors, sapped them, and seemed to implant them. She's gonna make a full round of the room and then go toward. It looks like this room is fine. May we look at the office?
Certainly. He takes you down the corridor, past the little like admin spaces, and then takes you into Edwin's office, which is completely cleared out, except for the bookshelf. Still has all the books on it, but there's no desk, there's no chairs, just the light and the shelves.
Okay. And he takes a step out of the room.
If you tell him you're about to do something that might require stabbing him, he will step out of the room.
I am about to do some very particular investigation.
Say no more. Just let me know when you are done. I shouldn't be seen without you. And he steps outside and closes the door.
Maggie will start feeling along the bookshelf with her Oblivion sight going. And her Sense the Unseen also popped.
Sophie is also activating Sense the Unseen.
Yeah.
I'm assuming she would remember the correct book to pull to open it.
Sophie could also help her remember because Sophie has seen Edwin do it.
Everybody in this room has seen that combination.
So whichever one of you has the highest intelligence in occult can make a roll and add 2 dice to your pull.
I have 5 for that.
Yeah, that's higher than me.
Yeah.
So I'm adding 2 more dice
Adding
to my
2.
pool. Cool. I got 5 successes.
You are kind of scanning over these books. And then finally you pull one. The third book on the first shelf. The seventh book on the second. The ninth on the third. And the first on the fourth. The door pops open.
She will gingerly pull it open and start investigating along the hinges, along the floor, and behind it.
When you pull it open, you see it goes into a very dark metal kind of spiraling stair.
I could
Maggie,
quietly take a peek with silence.
if you feel comfortable with that.
Comfortable wouldn't exactly express that feeling. I think it would be more toward what Matthew mentioned earlier of courage to persevere while afraid. But as I can be very silent, I don't mind taking a quick little peek.
All right.
I mean, technically, it's more her skill set. I mean, she's the bunker babe, so
I'm not sure whether to be offended or happy that you've given me such a nickname, as perhaps nicknames are a sense of camaraderie in a group. But yes, I will activate Silence of Death and Unseen Passage, and I will slowly creep down the staircase, making no creaking at all.
And what are the two of you doing as Sophie goes downstairs?
Maggie's keeping an ear out for Sophie, but she's also like looking through the bookcase now because she remembers that little book, that little journal that Edwin had when she
And-
first came in here.
and Matt will be keeping an ear out on the door in case anybody shows up or our boy decides to walk in to see if everything's okay.
As you are scanning the shelf, you do not see the book. Looks as if when cleaning the place out, they might have taken anything that was directly Edwin's out of this room.
Makes sense.
Sophie, as you make your way downstairs, you travel for a few minutes. And then finally you find a door. But then the steps continue going down. The door looks like it is designed to push open from this side. And there's like a little plate glass window that you can see into the room with. As you kind of poke in, you recognize this space. This is where you've been held here while you guys came down here when you were interrogated. This is where Sarah was held. This goes down into like the bunker underneath. You also notice that there's no means to properly open this door from the other side. As you look down, there's no handle. Do you wish to progress through that door, or do you want to go down?
Sophie will take note of the location where that door is, but will continue further down.
You travel down a little ways. Finally, you get to a large metal door. There's no window, nothing peeking in. What do you wish to do?
Slightly press up against the door. Does it feel like it will take a lot of force to open it?
It's a heavy door, but it's not like it doesn't require like a supernatural touch or anything to that effect.
Sophie will attempt to quietly open the door as softly as possible.
The door opens, and a little bit of light breaks through. As you step in, or peek in, rather.
Yes, I was gonna say, I'm not sure Sophie's stepping in
Okay.
yet.
You take a quick glance. You see wall to wall are a series of filing cabinets. And you see the soft glow of a computer screen with a stack of files next to it. You see a lot of these filing cabinets seem to already be open, and from what you can tell, a lot of them are empty. Give me a what's an awareness.
Four successes.
You didn't notice them immediately, but cast against the glow of the screen, you see the silhouette of a person. You can hear the clicking of the keyboard on the other side of them. They're not aware of your presence.
Sophie is going to slowly shut the metal door and travel back up the stairs.
Okay. Are you heading all the way back up to the office?
Yes, the intent is to relay this information to Maggie and Matthew.
As you're making your way back up, Matt, you're standing by the door. There's a knock. Hey, just checking in. I've been out here for a few.
Matt will kind of crack the door open. Yes, and thank you for your patience. If you just give us a few more minutes, there's some residual hinkiness in this area,
These
but
books have a weird energy.
and we're not sure. We're trying to decipher if it's Edwin stuff or the other stabby required stuff. But, just we'll be with you hopefully soon and all in one piece.
Give me a manipulation and subterfuge.
Can I give him a teamwork?
Sure.
And a blood surge just for the hell of it. I do get hungrier. 7.
Okay. Okay. Try not to take too much longer.
Oh, absolutely. Trust me. The sooner we get out of your guys' hair, the better.
You close the door. A few moments later, Sophie, you make your way back into the office.
I'm going to share the senses with Maggie and explain that there are files at the bottom of the stairs, but there's someone in there. And as we're on limited time and terms right now, I'm not sure if I can get access to it.
Share the senses is usually one way, so Maggie will give a nod if she hears Sophie come up. You will want to deactivate that.
Sophie will deactivate her unseen passage.
You will slowly close the bookcase.
So,
Yeah.
anything?
No, nothing. There's kind of a look of once we're away. Well, these books look fine. I would like to check out the roof now.
Okay, very well. And he will take you up the he will take you the path to the roof. I've lost words today. You get up to the roof. You can see where the glass has been restored. Not even a blood stain where you stabbed Drake. As you come onto the roof, he kind of stands there and goes, whatever you need to do.
Yes, this is where I stabbed someone. I would recommend you standing on the staircase or behind someone that's a little sturdier.
Now, Maggie, I just have to ask before you start this. Was it here? Was this the exact spot? I need a mental picture.
I'll wait by the stairs. And he walks away.
Maggie will just kind of nod as she looks around where she is now, activates her Oblivion sight again. This is where we did it. Where I stabbed him and where the eye of it all was.
Matt's looking down at the floor, just, I am going to paint this someday.
And then I got caught up into a fury frenzy. Not fury, hunger. Never felt that hungry before.
Yeah, so how hungry are you right now?
I am not very hungry, and I am not amidst an emergency where I am using my blood is frequently, so you do not need to worry about that at the moment, Sophie, but I do appreciate you feeding me last time.
You having popped your senses, you do see that same shadow from 2 weeks before.
Does it have any lingering down into the, She's going to activate Binding Fetter to see if it's linked to anything.
Binding Fetter. As you use Binding Fetter, I'm going to need a Composure Resolve check.
Can I blood search?
Sure.
I got 5 successes.
Okay. Give me just a second. Now, just to make sure I'm on the same page, you used share the senses on Maggie.
Oh, that means you're seeing this too.
Yeah, I need you to make a composure and resolve check.
Two successes.
Okay. Maggie, take 2 superficial willpower damage. Sophie, take 1 aggravated. As you see this massive shape that seems to be sprawling beyond what you can comprehend of the city, and falling from it seems to be several thousands of little strings, just dangling almost in the breeze.
Sophie will cut off her silence of death and turn to Maggie. What in the blazes is that?
That is what that is what I'm dealing with. You can you may want to turn that off.
Or
That
should I continue to look to make sure we aren't... I don't want to step into any area, perhaps, if they're trailing down like that.
Those are threads to fetters. Or what were. They don't usually do that.
Right. Is this where the stabbing comes in?
Well, I would need something directly linked to stab.
Okay, if this is y'all playing with me to actually freak me out now, it's working. Or is there something actually up there that we need to be concerned about?
It's the same thing from before. It's not as much as it was before, but it is there again, and it has many, many, many specters, shades, wraiths, spirits. Some of them may be connected to things.
So, two things. One, how do we fix it?
I'm working on it. We have to disconnect it from this city and have it pushed back further into oblivion, into the Shadowlands, and to figure out exactly what it is and why it's drawing so many of the specters and the spirits of this city into it. Usually being able to identify it makes it easier to get rid of.
And how many of these strings are attached to it? And do we have to worry about each and every one of those?
Do there seem to be any clumpings of strings, or is it just a bunch of aimless fetters that seem to be too much to really comprehend?
It's kind of that. It's the only reason you can tell that they are singular strands is that there are some that are close enough that you can tell. It's almost like you're trying to look in the back of somebody with very long hair and try to figure out and try to count them.
The fetters are not what we are worried about right now. It is
The little black rain cloud.
the rain cloud that is the magnet. The one with the pull. That is... There is something that is drawing all of them together and subsuming them.
So we get rid of that. That's our main goal.
I have a map at the Ascent. There is something that appears to be a very large... It's like that. It is that. But it has many legs. Like a very large spectral spider that is stretched out over the city. And there are places that have connections to it that I've been able to identify.
Well, if it's water-based, could we use oil to kind of disperse it?
Water?
Well, it's a kind of a cloud almost, right? It's taking up a cloud-like form.
It's a shape of a cloud. They can take amorphous shapes. They aren't things that physically bind them are the fetters.
At this moment, you kind of recall a couple of visions that Bella and Nick had that described something to the effect of a giant spider hovering over the city.
The mind is an abstract. Okay. I got you.
My sire is here in the city to help with this. There are 3 points of this triangle. I have 2 ideas that might be able to work. They seem to be connected to these funeral homes. 3 of them. And if we disconnect them from those 3, it might make it disperse. Or there might be a central point in the center. But this. I'm not sure what's going to happen when they disperse.
Well, I suppose if doing the triangular method doesn't work, we could always try at the center. I mean, there's no harm in trying both plans, right?
I'll see. I will need to talk with my sire more in person about it. We spoke over the phone, so.
What is he like?
Italian?
Okay. Like him already.
He's charming. Yeah, I enjoy his company.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if after we've solved this spirit issue and we've found out what happened to Edwin and we've saved Duncan, we could bring your sire out for a night on the town.
You are you going to try and grill my sire?
Oh, no. Why would I grill him at all? I haven't shown any violent inclinations like that.
So, apologies. Interrogate is the normal word for it.
Oh no. I understand your concern as I just apparently interrogated my grandsire, but that's because I had many concerns considering my own sire's behaviors. I do not intend to question yours at all.
I will see if he is interested in meeting the coterie that I'm now a part of.
About that moment, Nick kind of pokes his head out of the wall. Is it good to come up now?
I think we will actually be coming back down. It is unwise for you to come up here.
Very well. I just got a heads up. I do need to take you guys to the entrance as soon as possible.
Excellent timing.
Very good.
And she will
Okay.
deactivate all the stuff that she is wearing on her eyes and quickly go down.
As he kind of escorts you guys to the exit, I apologize for rushing you guys out of there. It seems that we have something coming up. Well, I'm sure you're aware you came here to investigate the keeper's quarters and such. The trial, and if I understand correctly, the likely execution of the murderer is to be happening on the 2nd,
Really?
I believe. Yes. And they need to, a couple people showing up. They want to make some preparations beforehand, so we are having to have anyone come stepping here, make sure security and all that fun stuff is taken care of, so we don't have to ask everybody to leave. Will you be attending?
Of course. She kind of looks over to Maggie and Matthew. 2 of these are witnesses to defend the one that is on trial.
I see. Very good then. He gets you to the gate. I hope you found what you were looking for.
I did. Has this place been rewarded yet? Or is the court still in a tiff with the Tremere?
The court is still in a tiff with the Tremere, but according to... Well, I'm afraid we don't really have any Tremere allies at the time that might be able to assist us, as far as I am aware. This is a little bit about my pay grade. I know that there have been some people complaining about the Tremere's absence, and with Edwin gone, and no one has seen Dr. Alexander in some time, we're uncertain as to where they may be, or where he might be. So if anyone can place the wordings, it sounds like they're probably going to have to make some kind of deal.
Yeah, y'all need to kiss and make up and get that shit out of the way, because this...
I would
Like I said, above my pay grade, just what I've heard around the
understandable.
mill.
I appreciate your knowledge on the subject.
Yeah, sure thing.
If you will
Well?
tell Cahill, make sure that when you do have this trial, that it is within a warded area, or somewhere that has already been warded, for the safety of those participating and those that will be the court members involved.
Understood. I'll bring that advice to his attention.
Thank you. She will continue heading out.
Okay. He lets you guys out, and then he returns to his post.
I should have just snuck in and maybe taken a look at the files.
We're keeping walking. We're walking. We're walking.
We're walking.
And we will speak about it once we get to the ascent, Sophie.
Fine.
Not a long walk. You've made it a few times. You make your way back to the ascent.
Once we're back in, doors closed behind everyone. Alright. Sophie, if you would tell us what you saw down in that room.
Yes, so the stairwell went to first an initial room into the chambers where they can hold people, like where they held Sarah or held us for interrogation. So just to keep that in mind, it did not look like it could really open from the side of the cells, but it's good to know that it exists. At the bottom of the stairwell was a large metal door, and it opened up to... There's a room with many file cabinets, and someone was at one of those computers. And I should have just tried to take a look at the files, but I was concerned with our limited time that I wouldn't really get a good look and that I might alert the person there that someone was with them.
Do you remember what they look like?
I don't believe I was given a description, so did Sophie see... Could Sophie give it a description?
They were kind of backlit. You mostly just saw a silhouette of a person.
I'm unsure. I'm unsure. I don't think they noticed me though, so I did try to leave as quietly and quickly as I could.
That may be where most of Elysium's security is run through.
Yes, it did look like some of the files were also maybe gone through and might be missing.
And dude said that the thing's coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bad idea. All right. Now, all right. There was a time when Nick was trying to get things figured out, and he had Al poking around in his brain.
That sounds unwise.
Well, I'm not saying Al specifically, but
That was right before he perished, right?
yeah. What if we go there and we find somebody in Sophie's family that's not Al, and see if they can do that to me
To
or
you.
to Sophie, because we were both there. Somebody that they trust that can be like, okay, yeah, this is exactly what they saw. And I mean, it won't help really prove Duncan innocent, but it might help. And also, maybe it's connected to what you saw.
If what you are saying is accurate, it may be connected to what I saw. Depending on...
And I'm guessing Sophie saw it too by her reaction.
Yes, I did see the big blob of doom.
I won't even ask how. I'm just kind of grateful I didn't.
You were looking through my eyes, weren't you?
I suppose that is a way to describe it. I was just trying to get you to see me and my intentions. I sort of, I guess, maybe slipped into your sight a bit.
Oh, you did the thing that Nick could do. Okay, that makes sense. Didn't think about that.
It's not a bad idea, Matthew. I mean, I'm really willing to do a lot to try to save Duncan, and I did suggest earlier to have a more official Ventrue perhaps dominate and get the truth out, but some of them didn't really seem very enthused about that idea.
You suggested Ventrue to dominate the side of your mind?
When Gabriel was interrogating us, I had mentioned how it was maybe not in these words exactly, but I said it was stupid that they didn't have someone make us tell the truth, and then we could just tell the truth, and I was willing to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point in having telling truth powers if you don't use it to enact quality justice?
Well, there is the truth is very flexible in our world. And as the mind is just as flexible. So it depends. And not everyone likes to rely on such power to find truth.
That is fair and painfully accurate. Maybe we can use this to get them to see that it's not just that, I'm guessing, is going to put a damper on everybody's, vacations and stuff if it goes boom again. Not just here, but I mean the entirety of the city. Well, I kind of like it here, and I would like to remain here for the foreseeable future. So maybe we can do something that helps not just ourselves, not just Duncan, but everyone. And I dare say, we've had our fair share of screw-ups. We haven't exactly been a shining example of cooperation and teamwork. But it'll look damn good on a resume that we saved the city.
I think we've had wonderful teamwork, Matthew. But I appreciate the critiques.
One of the ways to help keep it from getting so much worse we can't keep having these deaths. The mass death weakens the veil. It thins it in areas.
So one of these things might have been connected to a certain building that got blown up not too long ago?
The triangle, I do not believe is, because that building that was blown up was within the neutral zone, but I do believe that may have contributed to some of the shades inspectors that may have been swept up into this. That's why I told you you would be helping me.
Connecting the dots.
At that moment, Matt, your phone pings.
And he will check his phone. Please don't be an Adams thing.
It's Drake.
Oh, thank God. Him I can deal with.
Hey, I found your man. And then he sends you an image. Victor's Angels, final debut, December 2nd.
Well, shit. All right. Thanks. Well, now Drake's caught up. When did he say the trial was?
I believe he said it was on the 2nd.
All right.
Maggie will look over at the picture. Can you send that to my computer? Can you email
Sure.
it to me? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Maggie's going to pull her laptop out of her bag. And she's going to pull up that email along with the picture. Is there a location embedded into the data of this photo?
Like where it was sent from?
Yeah. Usually whenever you take a picture, it'll have like location information if you have your location turned on your phone or device. Most things are connected to Wi-Fi these days.
Right. Give me a wits and tech.
Cool. Unacceptable. It's a little bit better. 3.
Yeah, you get a place up in Clearwater.
Maggie will look over to Matthew. If you don't want to break everyone up, we may be able to find him before the showing. Evidently has a place in Clearwater.
Isn't that where the Scientology goofy people are?
I don't keep track of cults these days.
What is Scientology?
A headache to explain, and even worse to listen to.
Well, it's clearly based on science, correct? It's in the
No.
name.
They would lead you to believe so, but yeah, it's a cult. It's a cult.
Well,
They make it sound like a religion, but it's a cult.
Sophie, do you recall the Moonies?
I don't think so. But if I'm under, we will go to retirement homes, sever their bonds to the dark blob. We will go save Gray and other potential angels, and then finish it off by figuring out what happened to Edwin, saving Duncan, and then we'll go out with your sire.
You are very ambitious for one night.
As I say, when you say it like that, I mean that just sounds like a Tuesday.
Multiple nights, but I think it's a good plan at least. It's doable.
You get a couple of follow-up texts. I'm being hunted. Can't resurface yet. Plan to end this on the 2nd. Victor's gone to ground. It's the only time we'll see him. See you there.
All right. So, save our friend, save the city. Save a spot for dinner. Okay. I've worked with Les, and right now we're working with Les. D-Man is...
If this all needs to happen on one night, I will need to gather with my family and work to sever this. I don't believe this needs to happen immediately, but the sooner the better. Sophie, are you still in contact with Charlie? I mean, sorry, your Primogen.
I think I could be, yes.
If she is a gifted Malkavian, in the way that Matthew was suggesting, perhaps allow her to look into your memories for this testimony.
Yes, I assume if we were to do that, it would need to be at the trial, and I'm going to have to do some thinking on this. If it's both on the same day, I don't know if both are possible.
I don't think they are, which is why we are likely going to have to split up. And she'll look over to Matthew.
And Sophie. I can't even fathom what Duncan means to you. But seeing what he did to save us, I love Gray like family he tried like how to be. He made his choices. They were fucking awful ones, but if we can't save him, he made that bed. Duncan protected us. I don't know if there was an ulterior motive. I don't care right now. He's important to you. He's still alive. We know where he is. We know what state he's in, or at least we hope to know what state he's in. But if we can fix this, I got you. And if you don't want to take that burden on with the whole mind thing, you ain't got to.
I don't mind the mind tunneling, perhaps that Charlie could do. Just because Gray made some mistakes and bad choices doesn't mean that they should perish for them. But also, Victor will not stop with Gray. I know that it says the final masterpiece, but I know how people like that are, and he's not going to stop.
Oh, he's absolutely not going to stop. I just meant if we can't save them both, I'm going to choose Duncan first.
One thing you should consider. She puts a finger on Matthew's phone. It sounds like Drake has made his decision on where he's going.
and I'll leave it to the lug. He definitely knows how to make an impression. So if he can't save Gray just on his own, he can make Victor rethink his life choices.
Yes, I'm sure we all needed a little bit of time to think about this. Mull it over for a couple of days. But we need to come back here with a plan. She will look at Matthew an actual plan. She'll close
Yes.
up her notebooks. I need to go talk to Amethyst. I need to go talk to Pietro. I need to go talk to the Beaumonts. Matthew,
lot
do
to
you have
consider.
any...
Go ahead.
Sorry. Matthew, do you have
No,
any
go ahead.
pull with your family?
I would say not as great now, but I can see what I can't wrangle up.
I haven't been in this city for very long, but usually the ruling clan has some weight. Especially in court business. But I've also not been around long enough to witness the politics of this city to see if the Toreador truly have the power base here or not. But if they do, perhaps it is time to see if you can owe your family a favor. She kind of glances over at Sophie and back to him.
I'll see what I can do.
With much to consider and much to prepare for. The coterie breaks away as we end tonight's session. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to these amazing players for being part of this adventure so far. We will see you in the next chapter.